Hello, thank you very much for inviting me. It's great to be here. The title of my presentation is The Old and the New Together, and you'll see in a minute what that relates to. As architects, we work to realize the civic and the spatial opportunities that architecture presents. That means, in reality, that we need to consider the cultural, the educational, and the community objectives that our projects realize, not only when they're finished, but also whilst we develop them. One of the places where our approach to design is particularly relevant is the high street. High streets are a British institution. If you've been to Britain, you know. There's a social, a cultural, and the economic heart of communities, whether that's in a village or in a metropolis. High streets are also under threat. There's online shopping. Since the financial crash in 2008, there's been a lack of investment in public spaces. London has over 600 high streets. It's very much a polycentric city of villages, where every resident lives within 5 minutes of a high street. They're really important civic hearts of communities. We've been working on 35 high streets across London and the southeast over the last few years. The top is in High Road Leighton, 2012, the largest strategic high street regeneration project that's been attempted. And then you can see on the left is in Drummond Street, Streetery, which we introduced in Southwark and Nunhead in South London. Then on the left bottom in Morden, in the middle bottom, that's in Leytonstone, and on the right in Poplar and Aberfeldy Street. All of these are very different because the communities are different, the physical context is different. I want to take you to a place in South London, Elephant Park. 3,000 new homes are to be built there, and this project's well underway. And one of the big propositions is a new high street. There it is, that's the alignment of the new high street. But what do you do once you've built the one side of the high street, and then it'll take another 5 years to build the other side of the high street? And this is where we came in. So Sayre Street, we had a slither of land just 4 meters wide and 100 meters long, and the client asked us to pack that full with activity and experience to mirror this half of the high street that they'd finished already. There was our initial approach. The idea was to go beyond retail, the backbone of historic high streets, but to look at the high street as a space of community, of interaction, of togetherness. These iterations are very much based on that idea. This is the final proposition. You can see there's a higher element on the left-hand side, and then there is immersive structures that go down the high street towards the south on the right. Models are a really important part, a really important way for us to express what we do, because they're accessible. People understand them. People can criticize and scrutinize them. So we make a lot of models as a practice, and that was the final model that we prepared for this project. And that's what happens when you dive into it at street level. So how to build that? We almost treated our project like a storyboard of a film, where you work your way through from one end to the other to explore the experiences, but also to work out how to build it. With temporary projects, we really have to be quite serious about sustainability because they have a limited life expectancy. And the way we approach that here is that all the structural elements are built from scaffolding, which can be reused and repurposed after we're finished. And most enclosures are built from timber, from softwood. So a lot of our sort of challenges were around how to combine these two materials technically and ultimately realize this in a very short construction period on site. We worked off-site for some of the larger elements, and you can see here that there'll be three, the proposal is for three small enclosures that would hold community and commercial functions. And here, this is how it looked from above, so very much like the model that I've shown you earlier. And this is a resident who took this picture from their balcony and sent it to us. This is one of the spaces during the day. And this is how it looks at night. So thinking about the high street as a 24-hour phenomenon and as architecture as something that's cyclical, not just in terms of its afterlife as a structure, but also during the day and at night is integral to the project. This is looking up the tower at the one end, and this is looking down the street. And you can see the shops on the other side of the street and our structure that ultimately completes the high street. And on the right is a flower shop which moved into one of the units. This is the flower shop from the front. We also had an art gallery, and we had a community radio station in one of the other buildings. The client was quite clear that they weren't so much interested in renting the spaces as they were in providing accessible facilities for social events and a backdrop for an events program like this. So when you look up North Sayre Street, this is what you get. We worked very closely with the landscape architect so that the greening of the park, which is just at the north of this structure, carries on down the high street in the south. The building behind our hoarding is now coming up, and actually it's a Hawkins Brown building, and our structure's being dismantled. What's happened is that Land Lease have asked us to look at how the structure can be repurposed in another part of town. And we like to think architecture as this thing that can be adapted and repurposed to move elsewhere with similar functions. Thank you.